Hey folks, this is BestInSlot with some late night news for Jurassic World Evolution 2. Shouldn't be a long one this, I want to go to bed. So, I want to credit very quickly Nick Foult, I don't know, over on the subreddit who posted this, and this is basically a screen grab from Frontier's latest financial report. I believe they post these 4 times a year after every financial quarter. And it's mainly for investors and potential investors, and it goes through all their games and talks about how they're performing. We've looked at quite a few of these in the past to take other pieces of information, and it's just generally speaking very interesting. And of course this one is now the latest one, and is the first one to ever include Jurassic World Evolution 2. And really the important thing to pull away from this, if I can find my mouse, there it is this little bit down here. The Jurassic World Dominion film releases on 10th of June 2022 and will provide a great opportunity for our game with the publicity that will come from the film. Multiple exciting PDLC packs are planned for 2022. So 2 main things to pull away from this. The first is we are going to get multiple pieces of paid DLC, that's what PDLC means, paid downloadable content throughout the year of 2022. 3 or 4 packs if they stick to the schedule they had in the past, and indeed the schedule for games like Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo in particular. Now, even if you're not a PDLC kind of person, if you don't buy these expansions, that should still be interesting to you, because of course we've seen time and time again Frontier supplement their paid DLC with big, chunky free updates. Sometimes the free updates, I think Claire's Sanctuary in particular comes to mind, the free update is so good, it kind of overshines the paid DLC in the first place. Whatever you think of Frontier, they are very good at supporting their game with the free update stuff and keeping people coming back in that way. So this is kind of like news to an extent. It's like inverted comma news in that, of course they were going to release DLC. It was always inevitable, but it's nice to have confirmation. It's already planned. It's already been worked on. There's multiple on the way. Again, we'd expect that, but still, and that's cool beans. There was a little bit of suspicion. I mean, not really sustainable suspicion, but Jurassic World Evolution 2 didn't sell maybe quite as well as Frontier probably expected. They're saying the game is already very successful, with nearly 1 million base game units sold across all platforms and on all formats after 9 weeks. Now, 1 million after 9 weeks is fine, but it's actually slower than Jurassic World Evolution 1, interestingly enough. Jurassic World Evolution 1 sold out better than this. Now, Jurassic World Evolution 1 had a couple of benefits over Jurassic World Evolution 2. The main one is it probably, because it released with Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, that's a big marketing push for the game. And the second is, Evolution at release at the very least, it was obviously a lot better by the end, but Evolution at release was a little bit, So that kind of turns off people, and then when Evolution 2 comes out, people are less likely to bite the bullet and go for it, even though it has reviewed a lot better than Evolution 1, and it is ostensibly a much better game in a lot of ways, at least release compared to release. So that probably hurts a little bit. Obviously, they've not abandoned the title. The interesting thing is, actually, if you look at the last financial report, I don't have it to hand, so I'm going to draw you a graph here. Jurassic World Evolution was like, and then kind of steadied off. Planet Zoo, which you've got to remember, only released on PC, whereas Evolution was console as well. Planet Zoo, I should say, starts like this, but I tell you what, Planet Zoo is starting to, it's not taken it over quite yet, but it was working on it. Planet Zoo was edging its way up to actually battling with Evolution in terms of total sales, which, considering it's PC only, is actually really interesting. Obviously, Planet Zoo had much longer DLC support so far, and I think a lot of Frontier's model for financial welfare, this is a really awkward way of saying their business model, is actually very, very DLC heavy. Now, I suspect we're not getting a Jurassic World Evolution 3, which makes me think that maybe Jurassic World Evolution 2 will have a longer DLC lifespan than Jurassic World Evolution 1, where we expected 3 years, and we kind of got like a year and a half. It was actually really disappointing by the end, so hopefully that won't be the case for Evolution 2. Now, the other interesting thing about this really is, obviously it mentions Jurassic World Dominion. Of course, this is something else we very much expected. I'm very curious to see how this will look. Jurassic World Dominion comes out in a few months' time. What month is it? It's January, right? So February, March, April, May, June. 5 months! Less than 5 months now till Jurassic World Dominion. Crazy. But it'll be a big update. If they were going to bring in everything from Dominion, every single dinosaur, and you've got to remember things like Dreadnoughtus and Giganotosaurus and Parasaurolophus, all these dinosaurs that already exist, have alternate designs in Jurassic World Dominion. That's a lot of work. Is it too much work for it to be a purely free update? I suspect so. I'm not trying to be like a harbinger of doom here, because I think legitimately it would be a little silly to expect like a free pack that's, 15 dinosaurs, which I think is actually the number. If you include things like, say, the Lystrosaurus, Quetzalcoatlus, you've got 15 prehistoric species, and then you've probably got a campaign update, you've probably got a chaos theory update. If I had to guess, and what I would personally do, is I would split a Dominion DLC into a big free chunk and a paid chunk as well. That would be my personal take on it. We'll have to wait and see what they do. Maybe they take it as like a second launch for the game and they release like a Dominion Edition. Oh, that's what I'd do actually. I'd release Jurassic World Evolution 2 Dominion Edition. Big chunky free update to it. And can I go for like a second big sales push? Kind of like a soft relaunch of the game? Maybe that's what I'd do instead. Don't know. Let me know what you think. That's interesting. I know we all want free updates and as much free content as possible. Totally on board with that. But people still have to get paid. Game devs working super hard out there need to get paid for their work as well. So it's not necessarily realistic for everything to come out for free. I know the Fallen Kingdom update was, but the Dominion update, if it includes everything, would be substantially larger than a Fallen Kingdom update, which you've got to remember was, 7 species, I think it was? There's no story element at all, there's no campaign element, it was just 7 species. Dominion would have over double that, plus probably a Chaos Theory, plus maybe a campaign expansion, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. But, yeah, that's about it. I don't have too much else to add. There was another thing I want to talk about. Swerve covered this same topic at some point today, I can't quite remember. And there's a mention of, I haven't seen the video, but I know there's a mention of a creature, Dimetrodon, found in the files, and it's actually something I was going to talk about fairly recently, although it changed with the recent patch. Jurassic World Evolution 2, when it first came out, they found, I'm going to draw, right, you have to guess what it is. First one gets a prize. Okay, can you tell what it is? Yeah, it's a pig, right? I'm going to draw a cow. Okay, my cows look like pigs. How do you draw a cow? You like put plots on it. When Jurassic World Evolution came out, a cow and a pig were both found in the game files. Actually, so was the Spinoraptor, for example, and I believe the Spinoraptor and the Stegoceratops were found in the files, and Ankylodocus wasn't, which is quite funny. Either way, a cow and a pig were found in the feeder files, and there's no model, there's no texture or anything. And obviously they never made it into the game. And interestingly enough, in the last update that came along with the early Cretaceous pack, the cow and the pig were actually both removed. Now, whether that's because Frontier planned to add them and then changed their mind, or because people found the files and Frontier wanted to back away from it a little bit, I don't know. Interestingly enough, we also found I didn't do a bloody thing, of course. The Jurassic Park 3 Pteranodon, which of course actually did get added to the game, was also found in those files. And obviously that made it improperly, whereas, but that had a model and texture. The pigs and the cows were just icons, kind of same with the Dimetrodon and stuff like that. Really my only point about this, and it's not to shut it down or anything, it's all very possible. Dimetrodon, I believe, would tie in with Jurassic World Dominion, from what we've heard, even if only lightly. Just because we see it in the files, like in an icon form, doesn't mean it's going to make it into the game, necessarily. I'm not trying to be negative or anything, I just want to, just in case, put it out there. Like I said, the pig and the cow, which would be awesome, by the way, if anyone's watching. That would be such a big deal. I think people would love that. Or at least fix the bloody goat. The goat is still not right. All the goat needs, is a black splotch. It can't be that hard to do. Why does the goat not? I'm going to start a campaign for the black splotch. That's going to be my next thing for Evolution. I'm going to start that tomorrow. Right, anyways. The point is, these things have been found in the files before and then quietly removed. Sometimes things are messed around with, sometimes ideas are floated. Frontier's file organization isn't necessarily always the best when it comes to these games. There's a lot of legacy files floating around. We saw that with Evolution 1 as well. Because of the base of Planet Coaster and stuff like that. So, we never know. But it's interesting for sure that these things have been gathered and played with and that it's been a consideration. And, I don't think it's necessarily unlikely. We're moving in that direction now. We could see terrestrial, non-dinosaur creatures. Anyways, I have babbled on for far longer than I planned to. It's very late. I'd like to go to bed. It's only 11 o'clock. I'm going to be up for 6 more hours. But I'm going to get into bed anyway. And that is about it from me. So hopefully you appreciate some lovely drawings. I apologise that this was a bit casual, but I think you guys know me by now, right? More Evolution 2 content coming soon. I know we've been slacking on it a little bit lately. I've had a rough week in many ways, but feeling a little reinvigorated now to get started. Ow! If you watched my Planet Zoo DLC playthrough yesterday, you'll know what that owl was. Yeah, we're going to start a new sandbox, and I've got some general Jurassic World Evolution 2 content planned, and of course we're going to campaign for this Black Splodge. I'm going to make it happen. That is our goal right here on the channel. Join the revolution, ladies and gentlemen. Right, that's it from me. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you lovely folks very soon. Cheers, much love as always. Have a lovely night. Goodbye.
Reaching out.